I think, first of all, I'd like to, I got a ton of respect for Utah, Coach Whittingham and their staff, the success that they've had here, the program that they built, and they beat us today. I mean, we didn't do enough to win, but at times they played really good football. And I would say this, I see a lot of the things that I thought I would see from our team from an intangible standpoint. I do think we have leadership. I do think we have accountability. It's a group that cares about each other. And we have a lot of players that will continue to get better as they gain experience. But there's no question that we can coach better and play better today, right? We can do our part to help our players. And certainly we had a lot of cats out there, first game for the Gators, that made some costly mistakes in the game. I think you talk about defensively after the first play, we kind of settled in and played pretty decent. We put them back on the field after the penalty with the two jersey numbers, and then we gave them a short field after a turnover. So outside of the big play, I thought those guys did a lot of good things. There were some positives there. And then offensively, the red zone miscues, the missed field goal, they forced us to kick a field goal. And then we just had too many penalties. I mean, we had 3 procedure penalties in short yardage situations. We had a legal formation. And those are things that we can do better. So, I think that you find out who you really are, okay, in difficult times. I think this group is going to respond. I know that group in there. There's fight in that group. You can see it already, the things that they're talking about, the words they're saying, the approach that they're going to take, and they're going to go back to work. We got a lot of players that will continue to improve as they gain more experience in their career. So a lot of credit to Utah. Gators will continue to get better. And we're going to coach better and play better in the future.
Guys, we'll open it up for questions.
Coach, what would you attribute those procedural things, maybe the pre-snap penalties to?
Well, I think that, first of all, I think the crowd impacted the game. There's no question about it. Early on, a couple of those short yardage situations, we had procedure issues, guys flinching, 2 in particular that were costly. And then we just had, we're a little bit on or off in 2 formations there where we got to communicate with the official better. And those proved to be issues. One of them was a 3rd down conversion that didn't cost us. The other one was a costly 3rd and 1 where we convert the play, but it gets called back because we're a little bit illegal in the formation.
The lack of ability to establish a run, how concerning was that considering how well you guys ran the ball season ago?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the way they play, but there's no doubt that's an area where we need to improve. We've got to get production out of the 2 backs. We've got to give them an opportunity to impact the game. And then when we did run it, I don't necessarily know it was as effective, as we would want it to be. So I think I'll be able to tell you more after we watch the tape, but. In general, there's no question we're going to have to rush the ball effectively in the future.
What are your first impressions of pass pro and your offensive line on the right side and the blitz pickup? It seemed to fall apart at times tonight.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there was some pressures that gave us some issues. I think there's twofold there. I think we've got, it's a tough environment, and I think they do a good job creating variables for you on defense. But there's no question that we'll be able to do some things better, whether it's pick up a twist game or the back blocking his guy, the ball being out on time. But, Mertz got beat up a little bit. We got to keep him clean in the future. There's no question about it.
How do you think Graham played tonight?
I was pleased with Graham. I think there was a handful of plays that he'd like to have back. A few early that were a little inaccurate at times, but made a lot of plays too. It's the first game he's ever thrown for 300 plus. And for the most part out there, the guy's doing what we would want him to do. The ball's going where it's supposed to go. Oftentimes the quarterback gets too much credit, too much blame. It's about when you really dig into it, it's going to be about the players around him playing well. But there's no question when you play a game against really good competition, there's a handful of plays where the guy could have done better.
Billy, you spent 8 months getting ready for a game like this with so much build-up anticipation, and then it goes like it did tonight. How do you rally, and what do you take out of this game that's positive?
Well, I feel like we're in the fight and we made tons of mistakes. I think that there's going to be a ton of teachable moments for a lot of young players, a lot of new players on our team relative to. I told the team, the first thing I told the team after the game is execution wins. Let's just call it like it is. It's simple. And I think that, if we do what we're supposed to do at times out there, it's a lot more competitive game. I think we contributed to that, but I think Utah contributed to that as well.
Did you see any signs, any harbingers during camp that maybe the team wasn't picking up on certain things? Because I'm sure you were surprised, by some of the critical mistakes at times.
Yeah, no, I would tell you the penalties in particular are surprising. We played really clean football. Listen, the things that we can control, right, those are the things that are frustrating for a coach, right? And ultimately, there were too many of those in my opinion. Right?
Billy, how did Kingsley being impact the offense and some of these issues that we're talking about?
Well, first of all, I think Slaughter, man, is a competitor, is a great teammate, guy really cares about the team and doing his job for the team. And I think for the most part, he played well. Now, we'll see more when we go back to watch the tape. But, he is a first year. I think that's the most experience the guy's ever had in his career, right? It's the first game he started, but I don't know that he's played a lot in the past. So he's a good example of a guy who's playing his first college football tonight. There's a lot of them out there. So Kingsley's a veteran. He's an alpha. He's a communicator. He's got experience. You think about the makeup of the O-line. It's a talented group, but it's relatively inexperienced group. So they're going to continue to improve as we go, right? I think. And listen, I've got a ton of respect for Coach Scally and their defensive. They create issues for you. It's a tough place to play. But I don't necessarily know that was a major factor in the game.
What was so tough on third down? One of 13.
Yeah, no, it was. First of all, we were behind the sticks quite a bit. And then the third downs that we did have that were manageable, we had penalties. So we've got to eliminate the penalties. And then I think we'll have a little bit better look at it when we watch the tape. I'll be able to answer that for you once we get back and look at the tape.
Having two guys with the same number on the field on that punt, how does that happen? Is that a communication breakdown? What
Yeah, it is. It's exactly what it is. It is something that we have had in the past. We've worked in the past, and we are rotating the punt returner 2 to 1. We go safe. Jason's out there. We're supposed to get him off, and we just didn't communicate with the deep. We're in punt safe. We've got to communicate that better. There's no question. That's another thing that we control that we didn't do the right way.
Last year you beat Utah, and I think a lot of us will react and say, hey, Florida's back, they got it going. You lost 4 of the next 5 against Power 5 teams. How do you expect your team to respond after losing to Utah?
Well, I told the team, I think adversity presents a choice, right? You can choose character or you can choose to compromise, and I think one thing I know about this group is I think we've worked hard on building some intangibles, and already I can see that this group will respond the right way. I believe that. And, I sat in the press conference last year after we beat Utah and said, hey, we got a lot of stuff that we've got to work on. And I feel the same way sitting here today, but I feel like we got a lot of players that will continue to grow and improve as we go through this year, right? So we're going to be back in the swamp next week. We're going to sleep here tonight, get up and fly back and get back to work, staff and players, and try to continue to improve. And there's no question, this game, you got to handle the ups and the downs. You got to remain consistent in your approach, and I think our team will respond the right way. I'm confident in that.
Billy, young players, Eugene, Flash. I thought Shamar was out everywhere at times.
Yeah.
Who are some of the younger pieces, some of that really look good to you and ready to make contributions?
Yeah, I think Trey, obviously, Castell, Jakeem Jackson, Sharif Denson. There's a number of players out there that playing their first football for the Gators, right? So, including the transfers, right? So, Caleb Douglas is a true sophomore, right? There's a lot of young players out there that contributed tonight. So, ultimately, the Gators weren't good enough tonight. And then, that's my responsibility, and we'll be hard at work to get it right.
One last question, guys. Coach, you've now finished the 2-game series with Utah. Can you expand a little bit more on just your thoughts on their program and what they're doing here in Salt Lake City?
Yeah, no, I told Coach Whittingham before the game. I told him after the game. I told him last year. We had to play him when I was at Arizona State. Talked to Coach Scally after the game. There's a mutual respect there. They play football, a brand of football that we respect, that I respect. The way he's built this program, the consistency in which they play. This place has come a long way since the last time I was here, right? So, Coach Whittingham is a really good football coach. He's a good man, and they built a really good program here, and I've got a ton of respect for him.